Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about a terrible day, a really horrendous day, because it's the day on which the Republican Judiciary Committee unanimously approved the nomination of Emil Bove to be on the Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit. I've been talking about this some already, including in a Substack, but this guy is the least qualified nominee in a generation. And if that sounds hyperbolic, I think I can easily make the case. You have certain nominees who've been controversial in the past for what essentially amounts to a judgment call for the committee, things they wrote, things they did in the past. This guy has gotten himself in position to be rewarded, which is just what has happened today, by absolutely steamrolling the rule of law, the Constitution, privileging Trump's caprice and will above everything else, including what the law requires. Really, it's about as bad and repugnant as you can imagine. The vote, by the way, 12 Republicans, 10 Democrats on the committee to report him out. All 12 Republicans approve. The 10 Democrats walk out to at least try to express what an unusually atrocious decision this was. Okay, I've talked a fair bit about Bove already, but what I really want to say is this is not a normal question of judgment. This is a guy who has absolutely defiled the Constitution, the DOJ. He's spent his career bullying people, having terrible temperament, but the stuff he's done just in the last few months out of fealty to Trump and nothing else, the very thing that he's now being rewarded with, is absolutely repugnant. Okay. Let me just summarize. Before he even, as an AUSA in the Southern District of New York, important place, important position, he makes waves of a very bad kind. You have both a group of defense attorneys sending a letter talking about what a jerk he is, especially in trial, sort of power mad, game playing and the like. That's a very, very unusual thing for defense attorneys to do. They have to work with the people from DOJ, and if it weren't serious, they wouldn't have done it. Even more serious, AUSAs in his office, whom he was supervising, took the extreme measure of writing to his supervisor saying, "Don't let this guy supervise us, please," and laying out all kinds of ways in which he was an overbearing jerk. This is just when he's an AUSA. From there, he goes on to represent Trump as to defend him. I was at the trial in New York that he participated in. Let me just say he did not commend himself as some kind of, ethical, solid attorney. But the case against him is built very much on the 4 months when he is at the department, and he is just 100% the henchman for Trump, and that means the absolute kind of bully about and against all the professional standards and the upstanding professionals in the department who know that the watchword of the department is, for starters, facts and law. It's really galling for former DOJ folks like me to hear these scofflaws and thugs come in and say, like Bondi, "Oh, things were politicized before, but no more." Not a single case they can point to where, and there's an easy definition here, were the facts and law there and did you not bring it? Or were they not there and you did bring it? Even worse. So that's just what has happened on Bove's watch, and not on his watch. I mean, at his instance, that's the job he took himself to be doing, to totally be the enforcer and strong man for Trump. So we saw in plain sight the case involving the New York mayor. He foolishly, Bove, wrote in a letter to the U.S. attorney in Manhattan, "I know the facts and the law are there." And it was totally plain what they were doing was trying to have the mayor in their thrall to have to undertake pro-Trump immigration policies in derogation, by the way, of its responsibility to constituents. But for that reason, completely improper political reason, they wanted to have the case now dismissed, even though it was righteous in the terms of prosecutors. The acting U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, pretty damn big job that people try to their lifetimes to achieve, resigns rather than do that, not only because it's wrong in DOJ rules, but it would be a lie to the court what he would make her do to dismiss the case. Shortly thereafter, the head prosecutor, both these guys, by the way, clerked for conservative Supreme Court justices, both insanely qualified and not at all, liberal holdovers. Bove then yanks the case to main justice, the public integrity section. 5 more people resign rather than discharge his unlawful orders, at which point he does, to me, still an absolute head-bending maneuver of puts the rest, the 22 more lawyers in a room, closes the door, and essentially says there's a little bit of dispute about the exact phrasing, but basically, you guys have an hour. You better choose somebody to dismiss this case and sign this illegal, dishonest piece of paper, or you're all getting fired. And, two veterans stepped up to save everyone else. But I mean, can you, imagine that kind of insane pressure to just break their oaths, break the law? It's revolting. That's not the most serious charge against Bove. I've written a Substack. I won't go into detail, but the Whistleblower report that came out made clear and brought documentation. So you could try to make the argument that it's not credible, but it's credible, and B, the charges are they are 100% inconsistent with Emil Bove being within a country mile of a courthouse or wearing a robe anytime, including Halloween. They basically have him telling everyone, first, if the Judge Boasberg, as it turned out, who did get the case and did order the planes not to go to CCOT, he said, did Bove, if that happens, we may have to say, fuck you to the court. And it's clear he said it, because there's all kinds of emails where after he rules, the other attorneys are saying, I guess we're at the FU moment. They were petrified because to do this would be invite sanctions and the like. And then even worse, Bove said, those planes are going to El Salvador no matter what. Couldn't be more clear. Violate whatever the court says. I don't care. And in fact, he's the one who made the decisions, it would appear from the whistleblower report, to send the planes there. He proffered complete horseshit justifications. One that, since they'd taken off, they were no longer under Boasberg's jurisdiction. 100% wrong, a joke. And then also tried to say Boasberg had ordered us not to. But it was an oral order. We don't have to listen to an oral order. Again, that's more than half of the orders that judges issue. So, this is a guy who I've never seen anything like it, who basically stands for the proposition that to serve his corrupt president, and that's part of it, he can absolutely disobey what the courts say. The protests did not stop. You had 900 former federal prosecutors writing in, a stunning number. There are only a few thousand sort of out there, former prosecutors, saying this guy's bad news. You had 50 judges, state and federal, who know what you have to do as a judge, writing in saying don't do this. And, there really is sort of no two ways about it. This guy, the worst candidate we've seen in so long, because it's, not about any judgment call or whatever. He did something that's just, that's criminal, and certainly is a complete violation of everything judges are supposed to stand for and everything judicial power is about and everything that the executive branch is supposed to have to respect. But now let's just go to the whole failure of the system. Obviously a failure of the executive branch, that he's the one who's rewarded because of his not just insane loyalty for Trump. I won't put it insane, right? There's a method to his madness. His loyalty for Trump above anything else, to include the law, to include the Constitution. And he's the one who, as a result of his really worse than lawless, just thuggish smothering of everything the Department of Justice stands for, he's the one who gets rewarded. And then worse, the Republican Judiciary Committee, all 12 of them, maybe if there was some argument, say, or they had tried to make an argument that, well, the whistleblower's allegations, maybe they're not credible, or the judges here are mainly Democrats. I mean, it was bipartisan. The fact is, there's no argument on the merits to be made in favor of this guy whose favorable reporting out is just an unequivocal outrage. And so what they did is just bury their heads in the sand. I think I mentioned that the 10 Democrats walked out to show how unusual this was, what a terrible nomination is. But the fact that it's such a failure, it's more than just like going for a bad guy. It's the absolute abdication of any constitutional responsibility of advice and consent. And the sort of thing that if you're exercising any judgment at all, you do not let this guy pass. And that each and every one of them, all 12, said, fine, let's just get this hearing over with, and buried their head 50 feet in the sand. It is a badge of shame. They wear many now, but this is one of the biggest and most prominent that they have basically turned a blind eye to really facts and proof that show Emil Bove to be singularly unqualified, singularly lacking in integrity, singularly lacking in dishonesty, because he also deceived the committee when he was there testifying. This is really very, very far beyond the pale. It's my sort of home court, so I'm especially hot and bothered about it. But man, this is just lighting a torch to the Constitution and to the Senate's assigned role, and it is really, historians will piece through it. He now goes on the short list if he's confirmed. I'll get to that in a moment. Short list for Supreme Court. It's a really horrendous day. What now? He's now on the floor, and so it's not even the same kind of focus. It's possible the Dems will be able to still, make certain points, but at this point, it's quite likely that in this sort of lockstep, maybe Vance has to break a tie way. He goes through, this was the battle to wage. Dems did all they could to wage it, but as against the complete lack of integrity and single-mindedness of whatever Donald Trump says, Constitution be damned, law be damned, DOJ be damned, whatever he says goes. That made it as abhorrent a prospective confirmation as it is. The Dems' hands were tied. They tried to do a lot. So get ready for Circuit Court Judge Emil Bove and a really shameful episode and day for the judiciary, but the government as a whole. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.